And it's late. I'm up. Hi. How the heck are you guys tonight? Thought we would get together and have the good old 1:15 a.m. showing of Twilight Zone, the movie. Are you excited? Yeah, I am too. Mostly this is going to be a lot of talking about Twilight Zone and, the various gossip that goes with this movie. This is one I saw a bunch of times when I was a kid. So um, I'm a fan of it. I've seen it a million times. It's got 4 different directors because it's an anthology story. So there's a lot to talk about in addition to the gossip and whatnot, the awful tragedy that befell this movie. So I'm going to be watching this one tonight on Tubi, I believe. I was just ready to queue it up. We'll verify that. Um, I believe it's also available on YouTube with commercials. So if that's the type of thing you're into, you can check that out. No, that's not what I'm looking for, Fire Stick. I love when I subject you guys to technical difficulties. Let's see here. Tubi. There it is. So yeah, this one's about an hour and 40 minutes. It's from 1983, but I remember when I was a kid, I saw it in the theater, and then I watched it on cable over and over again. I think I rented it on VHS, but I just always remember it being on HBO or one of the TBS or TNT or whatever. Oh, Mr. Echo Cero is here today. Hello, Echo. Cha, cha, cha. Cero. Nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining me. As I was saying, this one I've seen a ton. Let me see if I can track it down on Tubi here. Hopefully, I'll see it a ton here as well. My stuff. Oh, it's there. We go. Give me a break. All right, there we go. Good year, 83. I remember nothing of that year. I was like 5 years old, I think. I was 8 when this came out. So yeah, I was. It's very impressionable. I remember when the movie was coming out, I was like excited to see it because I loved the original show so much. Okay, there's my list, and there it is, right on Tubi. All right, so it's an hour and 42 minutes on Tubi. It's described as 4 of Hollywood's greatest directors explore the region just beyond the boundary of reality in this motion picture version of the classic TV series. So the 4 directors in it are Joe Dante, John Landis, George Miller, Mad Max, and Steven Spielberg. So it's some heavy hitters, right, bro? So our buddy Nate is here. Pap, 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 pap. Everybody. It's got a huge cast, all sorts of good people in it. 3 of the 4 are direct adaptations from old episodes of The Twilight Zone. So, and then the John Landis one, all the controversy one, that's the least favorite one, and that's up front. So we'll when we get started here, we'll talk about that first. But oh hey, I see other folks are starting to pour in. Yeah, this one's on Tubi. I pressed play just to get the first commercial out of the way here, but I see it's frozen on me. All right, there we go. Yeah, I thought mainly we would talk about this movie, but we'd also talk about Twilight Zone, the show, and a bunch of other stuff, right? So there's a lot to cover with this one. If nothing else, than Albert Brooks and Dan Aykroyd in the wraparound, Let's see. Yeah, I'm hit with the old Tubi commercial up front for CashNet USA. So I will pause it as soon as this is done, and then we'll let a few folks file in, and then we'll get started early tonight. I guess it's an hour and 41, I think it is. So we'll be here till 3, Central Time, 4 Eastern. So gosh bless you and your night owl ways, people. Oh, let's see here. Echo Zero. Pap says, what's up? So Spicoli, what's up, Reed? How you doing, man? Aloha, brother. Welcome. Nice to have you here. I was hanging out with Reed earlier on our friend Russell, Texas Hardcore. He was watching Harold and Maude. Have you ever seen Harold and Maude? What a good movie. All right. So it finally came up and I paused it right on 0. So we'll be ready to go as soon as I press play. But yeah, I wanted to, I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone. I thought we could talk about that. And I also wanted to talk about all these directors. It's a good hodgepodge of it. But if you've ever seen this, obviously the usual routine, let me know in the chat or the comments below if you're a fan of it or familiar with it. Good thing about anthology movies is for our friends here tonight, if anybody wants to dip out, it's like, well, I watched 2 of the 3. It has the segments help a lot. Oh, hello, Mayanne. Welcome. The queen of horror herself. Tomorrow night, Mayanne, and last Friday, Mayanne was my guest co-host on Into House. And then tomorrow night on the Boneyard, Mr. Bones channel, we're going to be watching Terrifier 2 with Mayanne. Me and Mr. Bones and Mayanne. Quite the trio. I was going to say trio. But mainly tonight, I thought we would get this started and have fun with it. There's a lot to think about with this movie. Mainly with the messages in it and stuff, but there's a lot of cameos that are cool. The third one tripped me out when I was a kid. It's still scary. There's a lot of nightmare fuel in it. The first one is the one with all the fame, tragedy around it and all the infamy and stuff. So we'll get that out of the way early. And then the second one is the Steven Spielberg one. That's it's real schmaltzy. And then the last one is the John Lithgow remake of the old William Shatner on the plane with the gremlin on the wing. So some heavy hitters here. Speaking of heavy hitters, we got folks in the chat. Donnie, okay, everybody, hi, man. Oh boy, I'm scared. Yeah, she's worried about Terrifier 2 tomorrow. So be sure to check out our friend Mr. Bones HPS. There's a trick when you put it in YouTube, the search engine. If you put Mr. Bones Dollar Tree, for some reason, that's the quickest way to find him. So, but otherwise, yeah, I will be on Mr. Bones' channel. I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up here at some point. That's usually Mr. Bones' MO. But we're at 1:22 in the morning, so I think I'm going to go ahead and press play on this movie. Like I said, I've already skipped past the commercials on Tubi, so I've cheated. But might as well hit 3, 2, 1, play. Right. Yeah, minute 41:11. Classic Warner Brothers. Yeah, for a long time, this was on Max. They must have loaned or leased it out to a bunch of people. Because I see, like I said, it's on YouTube with the commercials. It's on the Tubi. I think it's on Roku. Thank you, Mayanne. I was kind of hoping somebody would do that for me. Yeah, Mr. Bones' channel right there in the chat. You can click that and go right there, and you can catch us tomorrow. Probably 10 Central, 9:30, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. So here it starts off on this long and winding road. Get it? It's a metaphor. It's long and winding road. And we get the big wide shot. Like I said, this has 4 directors. The wraparound segments with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks, those are directed by John Landis. By the time all the other 3 were filmed, the tragedy that happens during John Landis's segment had already gone down. So a bunch of people didn't want to be in it and wanted their names taken off of it. And there's I don't know, we'll talk about it because we're getting ready to come up to it. But there's an Alan Smithy in this. I believe the assistant director wanted to have his name removed from it. Steven Spielberg and John Landis had a huge falling out over it. But I believe these wraparounds were the first thing they started, and then the John Landis scene. So everybody had known what had happened. I watched this movie with Sean. Really liked it. Yeah, it's fun. As I was saying, the first segment, the tragedy one, is just kind of interesting for a lot of reasons. I like John Landis. As a man, he's interesting to listen to talk to. He seems like a funny, likable guy. He's a great filmmaker, but he messed up bad with this. And then the Steven Spielberg one's a little, like I said, schmaltzy. It's just kind of I don't know, overly sweet. It's a bit saccharine. I don't know. And then the third one, the one about the little boy that has the power to control everything. It was originally Billy Mummy or Mummy, however you say dude's name, in the old black and white one. But this one's super scary. Bart Simpson's in it. So a lot to talk about with this. This is where they're driving down the street and they're driving on the road in the dark. And he's like, want to see something scary? And he turns the lights off while they're driving. And the other guy's like, stop it. That freaks me out, man. Don't do that. And then they kind of start talking about old Twilight Zones and other stuff and reminiscing. And that's the audience being taken on the journey to, start talking about the Twilight Zone. Let's see here. I got called anti-Semitic once for talking about John and his son Max. I didn't even talk about their faces, that Max is garbage like his dad for what happened in this movie. Yeah, Max is an interesting character. He did that. I I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a movie, a short film about why he loves professional wrestling. And it was really good and it had a lot of promise. And I know he wrote a lot of stuff, like screenplays, American Ultra, is that what it's called? A handful of other ones. But yeah, I think around Star Wars, he really caped for Daisy Ridley, or no, I should say stood up against sort of Daisy Ridley and introduced the whole Mary Sue thing into the conversation, and was annoying as hell. But yeah, his dad, he's made so many, I don't know, amazing films. You almost have to kind of separate the filmmaker from his stupid decisions, but boy, were they stupid. Can you explain what happened? I've heard about it, but I really don't know. Oh yeah, I was kind of hoping for this little montage or whatever, the little pre wraparound thing to wrap up, because we go straight into the one where we have the tragedy. But I kind of know the whole deal. I've seen many documentaries on it. When I was a kid, I kind of was fascinated by the trial. Like I knew that the people who made movies were in trouble because someone died on the movie set, and they were like, "Yeah, but it was kids," and I was even like, "Oh, Jesus." So yeah, they're talking about Twilight Zone now. Let me catch up with the chat, and we'll be on that conversation in just a minute here. Luckily, it's the first one. This story, they set it up where they put the weakest one first, the second weakest one second, and they like keep getting better. But fortunately, the one with all the gossip and the one that's really like, what the hell, is right up front. Max also likes to mistreat women. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, like I say, no real standing up for that. During the filming of the movie, 3 people were killed. 2 of them were kids. Yeah, so we'll explain how all that happened. This actor Vic Morrow died, and then two kids on the set, and there was all sorts of like regulations that they were breaking. They weren't even supposed to be there. They were working past like 2 a.m. They're not supposed to be then. There were no social workers or teachers on the set like they're supposed to be. Just there was all these explosions near them, which you're not supposed to do. Yeah, so we'll get to it. It was a damn mess. And then, like I say, a lot of people, have like Echo have strong feelings about John Landis to this day because of it. It's like it's total like careless negligence. Although there was a big long trial for the manslaughter over it, and everybody on the set was found not guilty. I believe Spielberg, Landis, because they're the executive producers, I believe they got sued, and then maybe the director of photography or the stunt coordinator I know was. But they were all found not guilty of manslaughter. But Steven Spielberg came out heavily against John Landis and said it was totally irresponsible, and the 2 of them are still apparently not cool to this day over it. So this guy in the car dies during film. No, not this dude. This is obviously that's Dan Aykroyd to the left, and then the guy on the right is Albert Brooks. He's like this famous comedian, actor. Defending Your Life, I would recommend for Albert Brooks. What's the one where he goes out across the country in the RV? Somebody in the chat will remember, or the comments. But here they're like talking about old Twilight Zones and what are scary and what isn't scary. And then Dan Aykroyd's like, "You want to see something really scary?" And the guy's like, "Okay." And he's like, "I'm going to need you to pull over though, because it's extra scary." So if you ever pick up a hitchhiker and they say you want to see something scary, but I need you to pull over first, the answer is no. Always no. Okay, just so we're clear. Yeah, so they pull over and there's kind of this suspense scene. And Albert Brooks says, "Scare me." He's like, "Okay, go ahead." And Dan Aykroyd's like this covered monster zombie ghoul guy, and he just attacks Albert Brooks. And then they go into the traditional Twilight Zone theme song, and I think Burgess Meredith does the voiceover that Rod Serling used to do. "You unlock this door with a key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone." There, that was my dramatic recitation for tonight. So yeah, we go back down. The Twilight Zone logo, or the introduction was always in stars, like in space with stuff flying around. So we pan back down from the stars, and we open up with this first one, and this is the one that has all the drama around it. Vic Morrow is this dude. He used to be on this show called Combat. It was like an old black and white TV show. I remember down in the middle of the night. It wasn't my jam. I liked Lone Ranger and Hitchcock and stuff. So old buddy, he has like resting jerk face. Like just from the beginning of the movie, you don't like him. Like his face, he looks like a dick, right? So he basically is he's racist in every way. He's anti-Semite. Him and his buddies meet up at a bar, and he gets drunk and talks real loud about all sorts of different races. And you see people like giving him dirty looks and stuff. He almost gets in a fight. And then he ends up traveling back in time, and sees different historical events. But this whole first part was written by John Landis. This is all original. But then the second half is called like Love Thy Enemy or something. It's an episode of the Twilight Zone where two soldiers, I think in Japanese and American, are both trapped on an island together, and then they flip races. So the white guy learns what it's like to be the enemy and vice versa, and it's like to learn how to have compassion for the people you hate or whatever. So the first half of this is just this bigot and, the worst Archie Bunker in the world. Then the second half is him experiencing what it's like to be a Jew in during World War II, or experiencing what it's like to be the Viet Cong or a Vietnamese villager or whatever. And during the scene regarding Vietnam, I don't even think it's in the movie, he ends up getting killed. We'll talk about it. Russell is here. Hey, Lost in America. I knew Reed would have me. Thank you. That's actually what I was checking for. That a boy. Thank you, Spicoli. You the man. When it comes to kids, yeah, I have hard feelings when it comes to John. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a line all of us kind of draw it. So the man, big day, combat fan, have a playlist. Yeah, I remember it when I was a kid. I actually have a combat comic book. Like it's Vic Morrow's on the front, like a live action shop, but the inside's all like a comic book story. Hey, Corey Wilkie's here. Nice to see you, buddy. Watching Twilight Zone, the movie. Has anybody in the chat besides Echo seen it? Echo, you've seen it, right? I would assume you have. I bet Reed has. If he knew Lost in America that quick, he knew it. But Lost in America is great. I recommend it and Defending Your Life for Albert Brooks. So here, these dudes at the next table are overhearing him saying a bunch of racist stuff. And one of the guys who only speaks jive in Airplane, he's got like a little half-row and a beard. He kind of stands up and comes over. He's like, "Can you gentlemen keep it down?" So basically the whole point of this, when they originally wrote this story, it's about this guy who, learns to be like the people he hates or whatever. So it enlightens him. But Vic Morrow, between having resting dick face and then like needing to go out and transform his character, like he's a bigot up front, but at the end you need him to have like redemption and be a decent human being, right? So no matter what they did, he sets him up at the beginning so bad and so unlikable that it was impossible to redeem the character just by like having a, kind of Scrooge-like life lesson thrown at him. So what they did is they wrote in an extra scene where he rescues these kids from a Vietnamese village, and he's running through like this I think it's a river. It might be a rice paddy. I don't know, but he's got like in waist deep water, and he's carrying the kids, and then there's a helicopter flying over the top of them, and they wanted the helicopter to be in the shot and back, right? And then there's explosions going off all around. So it's supposed to be like this heroic, almost Rambo scene. So this jerk that you've learned to hate, they finally found something that he could do that would make people like him. So he's running through this river carrying these kids with these explosions go off. And the explosions make the helicopter start moving and swirling because of it's making the air uneven and making the helicopter bounce around. So the helicopter crashed into Vic Morrow and the two kids. Him and I think the one he was holding got their heads decapitated. And the other one, the helicopter just crashed on top of and crushed her. So this actor and two children who had no business being on set for a ton of reasons ended up dying. So here he got basically left the bar because he was sick of all the dirty liberals giving him looks for saying how much he hated everybody. And he walks outside and he's in Nazi Germany. So yeah, he's kind of walking around confused, and the Nazis come and ask him for his papers. And as I recall, he gets hidden in an apartment by some Jews or something, and he learns, that's his first lesson. Like I said, it's a very Scrooge story. Get visited by all these wars of people past, and try to like have some empathy for their existence. Let's see. Rip Vic and kids. Yeah, for sure. It was a messed up, sad thing. I have another reason to draw the line at kids. A friend of mine was murdered when he was 9. Oh, that's freaking terrible. There's footage of the cutscene on YouTube. Yeah, as I recall, I've seen footage of it, and that's why I was saying I don't think it's in this, but I know I've seen footage, and I've also seen obviously when the whole thing went down on the news, there was like footage of they would take helicopters and fly over the top of the accident scene, and you could see just like the crashed helicopter and all these people standing around. Like I said, the assistant director petitioned to have his name taken off of this because of that whole situation. He was so embarrassed of it. So in the credits, there's an Alan Smithy. So for those of you who know, that's like whenever anybody wants their name taken off of a movie for whatever reason, the credit Alan Smithy, Smithee. So this is one of the rare movies that has an Alan Smithy in it. It's usually resulting in some sort of like union labor dispute. So the Nazis are shooting old buddy in the arm. While this is on, we can talk about John Landis's work. One of the reasons, like I say, I almost have to separate the artist and the art is because I've kind of grew up on John Landis. There's so many of his movies that are like important to me, with American Werewolf in London and the Blues Brothers and the Thriller music video. And let's see here. That's a producer. As a director, he has 49 credits. His first film was, I believe, Schlock. Let's see if I was right. I was right. Schlock, 1973. Then Kentucky Fried Movie. So right there. Animal House, National Lampoon's Animal House. Ever heard of it? The Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, Twilight Zone the movie, the Michael Jackson Thriller video. And then obviously after Twilight Zone the movie, a lot of people didn't want to work with him. So he does Into the Night, Paul McCartney Spies Like Us, and the video for Paul McCartney Spies Like Us. He did The Three Amigos, Amazon Women on the Moon, Coming to America. So see, now you can tell enough time has passed where people start giving him work again, and he's getting big jobs. He also directed Oscar, the Sylvester Stallone comedy mobster movie. He directed the famous Michael Jackson Black or White video. That was like one of the first examples of morphing, where like people turned their heads and changed into other people and stuff. So pretty innovative. Innocent Blood, Beverly Hills Cop 3, wah, wah. Blues Brothers 2000, wah, wah. Slasher, Masters of Horror, another Masters of Horror. And that's pretty much it. Franklin and Bash. Wow, he's really at the bottom of his barrel there. So as you can see, early on, he's all-time Hall of Fame director. And that's actually what got this fueled. Him and Steven Spielberg. Spielberg around this time at 83 had already made Jaws, Close Encounters, E.T. Was Raiders out by then? Probably. He'd already produced Poltergeist. So when you put John Landis and Steven Spielberg together, people were like, that's a guaranteed moneymaker. But it did because it got such bad press. It was $10 million to make, $42 million at the box office. So it made more than 4 times its money back, which is generally considered a success. But people thought this was going to be like some big $100 million box office explosion. So in the movie, he's upstairs hiding in the apartment with the Jews, and they're like all huddled together, and he's, sees the Nazis are coming from him, and he climbs out on the window, and it's this tension moment where he's scaling along the side of the place. Let's get back to this chat. Thank you, Russell. It's something I'll talk about because it tends to make me very mad. Yeah, I bet, Echo. I was going to ask, but I kind of didn't want you to have to like bring it up in a chat and something. Sometime me and you will have to have a beer and talk about this stuff, brother. Good to see all you cool kids. Welcome, Texas. I was mentioning you before. I was at your place earlier watching Harold and Maude. You guys were keeping me company. Such a great movie. Jim's Retro Emporium, Booty or Brit. Yeah, my friend Jim is here. He had messaged me earlier. He was having a bout of insomnia, and I told him I won't be going live for another like 4 or 5 hours, man. He was like, all right, I'll set an alarm. So welcome, Jim. You are a true OG trooper on this one, buddy. Be sure to check out our friend Jim. He's a frequent collaborator with our buddy Gareth on Video Tasties. They just watched Freddy's Dead the other night in 3D. Well, parts of it in 3D. Yeah, I've heard about the Alan name. Yeah, Alan Smithy. It's there's a handful of movies. Every now and then when it pops up, you're like, whoa. I believe Student Bodies is one. Morgan Stewart Comes Home or something like that. I don't know. We'll check into them. That's something we can Google. A lot of people grow up on John. I did too. I was a fan until I learned about what happened. That's the thing. And there's a John Larroquette cameo. Now he's gone from being a Jew. He was climbing out alongside the building and he gets shot in the arm and he falls off the building. And he lands in the middle of a field with a burning cross and all these KKK men come stand around him. And one of the crackers is John Larroquette. So they're getting ready to tie him to a tree and all this stuff. It's, he's supposed to learn what it's like to be other people, maybe have a little empathy. But this is pretty horrifying with like the KKK faces and everything, and they're all holding torches and whatnot. Let's see. Morning, Jim. Animal House is a must-see. One of my heroes in it is John Belushi. So many of those things I just mentioned, like I would think everybody has to see the Michael Jackson Thriller video, right? Trading Places, Coming to America, American Werewolf in London. That's, shit. So yeah, just over and over again with the hits. Kentucky Fried Movie. I love Kentucky Fried Movie. I think it's probably better than Airplane. That might be a hot take, but I think I might stand by it. He also did Amazon Women on the Moon, a lesser version of Kentucky Fried Movie. Glad you were there. I appreciate it. Oh, like I said, I love that movie. It's got awesome. If you've never seen Harold and Maude and you're watching, check that one out. It's like this kind of sweet romance between like a young dude who's fascinated by dying and an older woman who just lives the hell out of life. So it's kind of crazy. Ruth Gordon is amazing in it. It's got this awesome Cat Stevens soundtrack. It's jumping. Beverly Hills Cop is 2. My dad, I bet, wish he never took me to see in the theater. 2 isn't that bad. It's not as good as 1, but 3 is about the time I was like, ugh. Hobbs Horror, welcome, Horror. Well, nice to see you, sir. Hobbs is here. Hello, folks. Here for first support and Don Zombie ASMR. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I just got canceled. Animal House is a classic. Yeah. Everybody welcoming Hobbs. How's it hanging, Hobbs? So now dude has run away from the clan and he's run into the water and he's ducked underneath the water, and they go to a commercial on me, but it looks like it's a minuter. Maybe it's going kind of fast. I bet it'll be faster than the usual commercial. But as I recall, he ducks under the water so he doesn't get shot by the clan dudes, but then he pops back out of the water and he's in Vietnam, I think. Freddy's Dead is a good movie. I liked it. Damn you, Echo. Talk about hot takes. I was tepid on saying that Kentucky Fried Movie was better than Airplane, and you're gonna say Freddy is Dead is good. Jim, don't make Jim come back. Kentucky Fried Movie and the Groove Tube. Yeah, oh, that's a good double feature. Hanging in there, guys. Thank you. Yeah, our friend Hobbs. If one of you could, maybe if May Ann's around or somebody could track down that link for the to the GoFundMe for Hobbs. We're doing pretty good on getting my man the money that he's looking to raise. I saw we were pretty, I don't even want to quote a number, but I saw it was more than halfway there, it appeared to be. So thank you to all who have donated so far. And if you'd be inclined to help our friend Hobbs, who has a fractured spine. So, but I'm glad to know that you're hanging in there and doing well, Hobbs. I'm on a commercial as well. Are you watching on Tubi, man? Like I said, I saw it was on YouTube with commercials. So if you have ad blocker, you could watch it on there without it. But I think it was on Roku and oh boy, let's see. Twilight Zone. It was all of them. The movie. This came out like I remember as a kid, Star Trek the movie was the first time I'd ever seen a TV series adapted into a movie. I was like, wow. And then when this came out, I was like, I have to see this. It's on Tubi, Roku, Amazon Prime, YouTube from 379. Okay. Oh, now it says YouTube TV, but not available on this device. Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango, etc., etc. And I'm back from a commercial, and he pops out of the water, and yeah, I believe here he's in Vietnam. This was rated 60% fresh by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 55% by the audience. So the critics like it a little better. It is a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb. I give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, when I was a kid, this was on all the time. I feel like I've seen it so many dozens of times. Even now, it's like I'm kind of slowly remembering, oh, yeah, here's where Vietnam, and etc. But yeah, that's the point. He's such a jerk up front that even after getting shot and almost being lynched, and now he's going to like get shot in crossfire in Vietnam, you still don't have enough sympathy. I was like, well, you kind of deserved it, you jerk. That's what you get. Let's look up Vic Morrow's acting credits and see what else he did besides action. I know he was like an old black and white movie star. Vic Morrow was, oh boy, all sorts of stuff. He was in some Twilight Zones. Let me see. Combat. So he did 99 movies. He died on his 99th. That sucks. He just missed making it to 100. His first thing was long list. Blackboard Jungle. There you go. That's a classic. Dog's Life, Tribute to a Bad Man, Joe Millionaire, Men in War, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, King Creole, Hell's 5 Hours, Naked City, The Rifleman, lots of TV. Johnny Ringo, Posse from Hell, Portrait of a Mobster, The Lawless Years, The Tall Man, Bonanza, Untouchables, Combat, Immortal, A Man Called Sledge, Hawaii Five-0, Mannix, so much TV, Ironside, The Bold Ones, Mission Impossible, FBI, Tom Sawyer, Nightmare, Police Story. No wonder everybody knows him. He's on every TV show that was ever made. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, The California Kid, Deathstalk, The Night That Panicked America. That sounds good. Bad News Bears. Oh, that's right. I forgot. He's the Roy Turner. He's the coach of the bad guys, I think, because Walter Matthau's the coach of the good guys. The Ghost of Cyrus Swamp, The Curse of Black Widow, Message from Spice, Victor, Stone, Paris, The Seekers, Charlie's Angels, Magnum P.I., Fantasy Island, 1990, The Bronx Warriors, and then he finally was in Twilight Zone in 1983, his final film. So there he's standing over in the woods, and the American soldiers see him hiding, and they throw a bomb at him or a grenade at him, and it explodes him back into Nazi Germany, and he slams against the wall. So he's just going through the whole rigmarole, but good. So he's right out in front of like SS headquarters. I don't know what that says. Deutschland zeigt ein allen. I couldn't read it. Sorry, I don't speak enough German fast enough for you guys. But as I recall, here they probably take him on a train to a concentration camp. So it's such a heavy, like, I think they intentionally staggered these where they got better as they went. This first one's so heavy, and I think this is the one everybody wanted to see, like, because of all the, tragedy around it. So there they've slapped the Star of David on him, and yeah, they're loading him onto a cattle car. The budget for his sequence must be insane. Like, Spielberg's all takes place in one room pretty much. Well, it takes place in an old folks' home and like the yard and stuff. So it's probably a set that they built somewhere. This looks like this had to be most of the budget, I bet. And then the third segment is directed by Joe Dante. The dude, Howling Gremlins, The Burbs, right? Isn't that Joe Dante? And then the plane segment at the end is directed by George Miller from Mad Max. So Joe Dante. Oh, I forgot he did Looney Tunes Back in Action. Yeah, so we'll go ahead. We'll talk about Joe Dante when he comes up, though, because Vic Morrow's still struggling. But he's got resting jerk face. He has no likability about him at all. Even after all this, you're still like, kind of asked for it, buddy. Sorry. So there, the cattle car. He looks out the window, the little slots in the thing, and he can see his friends, and he's begging for him, like, please help me, and they can't see him. So it goes to show he's like in a surrealistic world where that isn't lining up with their universe and his universe. Where's Macabro? Nobody understands multiverses better than Macabro. Where are we? Yes, thank you, all amazing people. Yes, we help our buddy Hobbs. She's on Tubi. There's the link. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Ray. I saw a little unknown Canadian horror movie called The Clown Murders, and it's great. Young John Candy. I haven't seen it in years. I don't know if I've ever seen The Clown Murders. The new movie with Martin Sheen is A Bad Cop. The telly movie with Martin Sheen. I don't know. Being born German, I despise the Nazis. Well, yeah, I would assume so. So there it ended, where he gets ferried away in the cattle car, and that's how it ends. Like, he's begging for his friends to save him, but they don't. They just don't ignore him. So he's like trapped in that different world. So they never did redeem him like they wanted to. And the reason I bring up that whole thing about trying to redeem him is because that's why they wrote in that scene. Like that scene with him carrying the kids and where everybody got killed, that wasn't even in the original script. It was after watching it that they were like, there's no likability about him. We have to do something to try to redeem him. And that's when he rescues the 2 Vietnamese kids, and they wrote all that in later. So it was never even supposed to happen. That's part of the reason Spielberg was so pissed. That night that panicked America was inspired by a true story. It's about the October 30th, 19. Oh, so it's a War of the Worlds one. Okay, cool. Because the cover of it looked extra scary. It looked almost like Dark Knight of the Scarecrow or something. Carol Daly, welcome Superman. Owl gang into his house. Nice. I enjoy these anthology tops and movies. Yeah, they're divisive. Some people don't like anthologies because it's too broken up and you don't get one coherent story. It feels like movies that should have been a TV show or something. But I enjoy them because I like, especially for someone who can't sleep, I watch like 2 of them and then fall asleep and then, watch the other 2 in the morning or the next night or whatever. So this one starts off with, this is an old Twilight Zone. I specifically remember this one, an old black and whitey. They drop the family drops their old father off at the nursing home, and he has to go in and make friends, and he's trying to be cool about it, but it's just kind of sad. And it's this reflection on like growing older and how the people value their age, and they wouldn't trade their life or their wisdom or the experiences for anything. I don't know. It's kind of sweet. There's a little bit of a Peter Pan thing to it. It's, I don't know. Scatman Crothers is it. So right there, it's kind of hard to hate on it, but it's classic Spielberg, sweet, schmaltzy. This is more like E.T. Spielberg. Like, this is make you feel good kind of thing. But as I had mentioned before, that after the tragedy happened, a lot of the people, it happened up early. So everybody who was making the rest of the movie already knew about it. And they say a bunch of people like didn't want to do it. Joe Dante like didn't want to be part of it anymore. And they said he like didn't do the editing after he was done directing. He was done. He didn't, do any press or anything. And Spielberg, like I say, him and Landis had a huge falling out. So there's a question of, are these other segments affected by the tragedy of that first segment? Because everybody knows, like, somebody died making this movie, man, or a couple people died, including kids, making this movie. But Scatman Crothers as a narrator at any point is kind of amazing. Like, I think that's fresh off The Shining, so he's at peak Scatman. He was probably doing Hong Kong Phooey around this point. Let's do a Scatman Crothers deep dive, shall we? Scatman Crothers was born in 1910 and passed away in 1986. Well, wait a minute, that's Wikipedia. I wanted to see his. There we go. He was primarily did a bunch of cartoon voices at the end of his career. I'm curious to know what he did in his young career, because he had to go, I don't know, when did he start? The 50s, I bet? Scatman Crothers. Oh, boy. He has 135 acting credits. Yes, Sir, Mr. Bones as Scatman. So shout out to our friend Mr. Bones. That was 1951. Return of Gilbert and Sullivan, Meet Me at the Fair, East of Sumatra, Walking My Baby Back Home, Big Town, Climax, Between Heaven and Hell, Adventures of Jim Bowie, The Gift of Love, Schlitz Playhouse. That's one I had to slow down for. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Alias Jesse James, Porky and Bess, Matt's Funnies and Bean, Bourbon Street Beat, Johnny Midnight, Tarzan and the Trapper, Sins of Rachel, Bonanza, Lady in the Cage, Patsy, Magic Magoo, The Famous Adventures of Mr. Magoo, The Family Jewels, The Three on a Couch, Alvarez, Dragnet 67, Hello Dolly, Bloody Mama, Barefoot in the Park, The Aristocats, not to be confused with The Aristocrats. He was the voice of Meadowlark Lemon on the Harlem Globetrotters TV cartoon series. I kind of remember that because they met Scooby-Doo a couple times. Chandler, Bewitched, The Magical World of Disney. He was on a show called Nichols. Oh, that's right. I've heard of that show. It's my last name. The Lorax, Love in American, Adam 12, Detroit 9000, Slaughter's Big Ripoff, the new Scooby-Doo movies, Kojak, Ironside, Griff, Black Belt Jones, Toma, Coonskin, Kolchak, Mannix, Hong Kong Phooey, that's the one I was looking for. Sanford and Son, damn right. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, there you go. Stay Hungry, The Shootist, Silver Streak. So he doesn't really hit it big until probably Cuckoo's Nest. And that's 75, and he'd been working for 25 years at that point. Damn. Stay Hungry, Silver Streak, Roots, Starsky and Hutch, Scooby-Doo, Cheap Detective, Charlie's Angels, Chico and the Man, Vegas, Incredible Hulk, Scavenger Hunt, Banjo the Woodpile Cat. That sounds good. Captain Caveman, Palmerstown, The Shining, Bronco Billy, Harlem Globetrotters Meet Snow White. What? Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Fuck you, Scrappy-Doo. Magnum P.I., Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. Benson, One of the Boys, Deadly Eyes, Taxi, Twilight Zone the movie. So we finally just got to this. Geesh. He was in the Casablanca TV series. He played Sam from Play It Again Sam fame. Hill Street Blues, The Love Boat, Pryor's Place, Scooby-Doo, Matt Houston, so much Scooby-Doo. Transformers, oh, that's right, he was Jazz in the TV series. Transformers the movie as Jazz. And then he was in Transformers The Return of Optimus Prime Video as Jazz, and that was his final credit in 1987. So he went out on top. Atta boy. So here Scatman Crothers has been, regaling the old folks while I've been running through his long and impressive filmography. And they're kind of arguing philosophy about these old people shouldn't be doing stuff. They're going to get hurt. And they're like, let's play kick the can in the middle of the night. So they're going to get up after all the, orderlies put them to bed and stuff. And they're going to play a game of kick the can. And in case you've never seen this or unfamiliar, that game turns them into children. Like all the little old people who are playing kick the can revert back to their childhood. And it's this real, like I say, Peter Pan type thing where they have to decide, do they want to be the Lost Boys and stay kids forever, or do they get out and grow back up? So it's a bit schmaltzy, I don't know, but it's lit beautifully. It's Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean? Oh, let's see here. Cal says, hey. Everybody says, hi, Cal. Anthology movies are second best genre. I really enjoy them. Yeah, I enjoy a good anthology, and they're usually horror movies. You don't get a lot of I guess some, something like Kentucky Fried Movie or whatever could be considered like an anthology comedy, but you don't get a lot of 3-segment deals. It's usually in horror, drama movies. I don't know if I've ever seen an anthology crime drama. I bet I have. Subdrama typo. Yeah, I got you. California Kid with Sheena Morrow. Hey, Cal. Folks are saying hello to Cal. Scatman Crothers in The Shootist with John Wayne's last film. Ron Howard is a great film. I didn't know that. Your last name isn't Knotts? No. Hard to believe. Bloody Mama with Shelley Winters and young Robert De Niro. Question mark? Regarding Don Knotts? No. I believe that's gimmick infringement. I could get sued. And one of these little ladies out of the group of old people, one of them later goes on to be not Roz. Roz was the Marsha Warfield, but the other one, the Bull's original sidekick, whatever the old lady was. So a long career on Night Court is what I'm saying. So we've had 2 Night Court appearances, John Larroquette and whatever her name is. All right, I think we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do the Steven Spielberg filmography. I'm scared to look at it. I wonder how many he's directed. Steven Spielberg has directed 58 films with 2 upcoming. I would have guessed more, really. But that's better than Hitchcock. Well, 58 isn't films. I take that back because he did TV, so there'll be some TV stuff in here. But Hitchcock did 50 movies in 50 years, so I bet Spielberg might have passed him. I know Spielberg was started off in Rod Serling's show after the Twilight Zone, a show called Night Gallery. So I believe that was like one of his first gigs. No, his first gig was The Last Gun. Oh, that's a short. Firelight is a producer. Slipstream is a producer. Why is this producer? I'm trying to see director. Thank you. The Last Gun, short. Escape to Nowhere, Firefight, Slipstream, Amblin. Yeah, that's a short film. Marcus Welby, Night Gallery. So Marcus Welby was his first, and Night Gallery was his second. Night Gallery is a lesser version of Twilight Zone. It's kind of weird because it's in color. I like the black and white of the old Twilight Zone. He directed an episode of Columbo, an episode of The Psychiatrist, an episode of Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law. That sounds like a made-up TV show on Saturday Night Live. Then he directed Duel, TV movie. Most people have seen Duel. It's kind of awesome. Dennis Weaver. Something Evil, Savage. So 2 more TV movies. I've never even heard of those. Sugarland Express I've seen. It's pretty damn good. Jaws, Close Encounter of the Third Kind, 1941, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and then Twilight Zone the movie. So by the time he had done this, he did E.T., Raiders, Close Encounter, and Jaws. So he could pretty much retire at that point. Then he did a TV miniseries called Strokes of Genius. I was unaware. Amazing Stories, we knew that. The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, Always. The Visionary, a director of a segment called Par for the Course. So apparently did an anthology film. Hook, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List. So once again, he could have retired off of just those 3. Lost World, Jurassic Park, Amistad, Saving Private Ryan, AI, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, War of the Worlds, Munich, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, Timeless Call, Adventures of Tintin, Warhorse, Lincoln, Bridge of Spies, The BFG, how you doing? The Post, Ready Player One. I've never seen it, but I don't hear good things. The remake of West Side Story, I didn't see it, but I don't hear good things. The Fabelmans, that I kind of want to see. It's basically like a movie about his life, loosely based on him. It's a kind of a love of filmmaking type story. I'll get to it eventually. He's apparently developing a TV miniseries about Napoleon and an untitled Frank Bullitt project. So look at you, Steven Spielberg, you rascal. Now, finally, after all that rambling, the kids have played kick the can, and now the old people have turned into kids. So we see them in they're like little teeny kids, but they're wearing like big old people glasses, and they got their hair up in a bun, and like their clothes are oversized. It's kind of comical. But Scatman doesn't change, and he explains no, I enjoy my whole life, but my life was hard. I had a swell life. Yeah, they're like these little kids. They look like old people, but like they're missing their teeth and stuff. Who's gonna take care of us? I don't know. It's pretty funny with this. It's just typical Spielberg. It's the cute old people. It's the cute kids. It's a whole lesson of life type thing. It's schmaltzy, but it's sweet, I guess. I like that they have Burgess Meredith doing the voiceovers though in between them. Oh, let's see here. Scatman, Crothers, Northern Wells both did Transformers, and then died a year before it was released, and Scatman died 2 months after it was released in 1986. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, that's right. I do remember Orson Welles was in that too. Wasn't he Omicron or whatever? Nightmare Santa is a good anthology film with Ricky Moore. I've never seen that one. There's one called Nightmares that's pretty schlocky but kind of awesome with Emilio Estevez and a handful of other people. Echo, so true. Yeah, that's interesting with the Scatman and Orson Welles both did a Transformers movie, and yep, that's interesting. Scatman Crothers, I would say probably out of all those I read, probably what, The Shining is his pinnacle moment. Because he's good in this and he's good in everything. The cartoon voices, Meadowlark Lemon, I'll always remember because of Scooby-Doo and the Globetrotters. The one kid didn't change back and went out the window. Yeah, the one that thinks he's Douglas Fairbanks. He's like trying to be a sword fighter and stuff. But, you know, it's a sweet message. Like if people feel old or feel bad that they've grown old, that, you know, you're a veteran of life. You've lived through a bunch of things. You've seen stuff. You've got wisdom and, you know, all this. So it's a sweet, touching story, but a bit sappy. But this next one that comes up after this, oh boy, it gave me nightmares, literally. Like there's a scene with a giant scary rabbit that pops out, and there's a girl that has her mouth removed. Like it's about this magical little boy, and he you know, gets rid of somebody's mouth. He has a thing where he like wishes people out into the cornfield or whatever. But that one's getting ready to start in a few minutes here. Now the little kids are bothering the one old man who was a grouch. And he has like a change of heart. He's like, I want to change. I want to go with you. So he regrets not thinking about his youth. So I think there's got to be some sort of message of nostalgia and remembrance and stuff there. So now they're blowing bubbles. This all feels like a segment from Amazing Stories. Amazing Stories was kind of a cool show. You could tell it was Twilight Zone inspired, because they were amazing stories, as are the Twilight Zone. Speaking of the Twilight Zone, the show that inspired this, I've seen I think I've seen every episode. Every now and then I find one that, you know, it's like, I don't think I remember this one. Probably usually in season 3, I quit paying attention. Twilight Zone started in 1959 and ran until 1964. But it was marketed as Twilight Zone for its final 2 seasons. So its first 3 seasons are The Twilight Zone, and then the last 2 are Twilight Zone. It was created by Rod Serling. Rod Serling was a cool dude. He was in World War II, and I think like living in fear of dying every day really like kind of messed up his head. So he became like this deep thinker and a writer. He, you know, obviously wrote a bunch of the Twilight Zones, but he also was like a script doctor for a lot of other stuff on CBS, I think it was. And he was with the producer of the original Planet of the Apes. He's just kind of like a deep thinker, you know, the guy who wants to use science fiction and stories to tell, like, you know, morality tales, I guess. But he's one of those guys you can find interviews with on YouTube. He'll just sit there and smoke like a whole pack of cigarettes and explain his philosophy on life. Let's see. The one kid didn't change back out the window. Yeah, one girl in the last story was the voice of Bart Simpson. Yeah, the next one coming up. What's her name? I can't even remember. Nancy, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, she doesn't even get a credit. That's terrible. That is so sad. It'll say here. And the next one, the cast is Nancy Cartwright. I should have known that. Everybody knows Bart Simpson's voice. But yeah, Kathleen Quinlan. That's what I was trying to remember. I couldn't think of the main lady who stars in the next episode. They are doing such heavy eye lighting. Like sometimes when you light a scene, your main character, you directly hold a flashlight offside and you like light a beam across their face. Like sometimes in movies, you'll see a light beam across someone's eyes and wonder how the hell they did that. They literally have someone like off screen holding a flashlight in them. Same with eye light. Like a lot of times you want your main star or whatever to have like a twinkle in their eye. So sometimes it'll just be a person straight up holding a flashlight like off screen. So now we went to a commercial. The next morning, old buddy who was a grouch is kind of like feeling his youth, and they hit us with a commercial. Of course they did, but it looks like a quickie, maybe a minute. Look at everybody. Cartwright, Nancy Cartwright. Thank you. That's why I said after a minute, I was like, I know that name. Why am I drawing a blank on him? Rod Serling made some great telly shows. Yeah, Rod Serling's awesome. I think it's Nancy Cartwright. Thank you, Ben Grimm, and welcome, buddy. Ben, always Johnny on the spot. Let me know if you're in the chat if you guys are a fan of the Twilight Zone TV show. I'm sure most of you are. And subsequently, are you a fan of this movie? I would think that most of the fans of the Twilight Zone for their whole lives probably like this movie and have a soft spot for it. But I think they probably rubbed some people the wrong way, like we were talking about with the tragedy up front. How many episodes were there? Twilight Zone also, we ran from 64, but then they redid it in what? Season 1 was 59 to 60. Season 2 was 60 to 61. Season 3, as I recall, is that the one that's shot on video? When you watch a lot of Twilight Zones, you'll notice there's like one season that looks messed up. Like sometimes an episode will look like a soap opera. Like all the rest of them look like beautiful and shot because they're shot on film. And then to save money in the last season or 2 seasons, I think it's the last season, they switched to video. So everything does look like a soap opera, like it's 30 frames per second as opposed to 24 and all of it. So they jar you. So if you ever wanted to know the difference between film and video, that's the Twilight Zone is a classic example. Most people know the weird wonky Twilight Zones that don't quite look right. I love when sci-fi we do a 24-hour marathon on 4th of July. Yeah, 4th of July and New Year's, that's my jam. Even to this day, I have all of these on DVD. I never got them on Blu-ray yet, but they're always streaming on like Netflix and stuff. But it's just not the same as putting on sci-fi and just letting them run like a playlist on shuffle. You never know what you're going to get. I keep meaning to watch the whole series. I've only seen episodes here and there. Yeah, it's I've only seen them because I bought the set, because they are always showed, shuffled up, like I said, a playlist. So there are some in particular, those ones with the wonky shot on video that don't look quite right, that I just was like, oh, I don't want to watch this one. But the classics like Talking Tina and To Serve Man and Eye of the Beholder, and I don't know, there's just so many. So now here's Scatman Crothers leaves the one nursing home, and he walks around the corner and takes his magic can to this new one. So he's going to do the same thing here, and he just goes around from like nursing home to teach these old folks to appreciate their lives. Like I said, this one is also adapted from the old show. All of them except for the Landis one, and the Landis was partially. So here's more Burgess Meredith voiceover. And we panned on Portrait of a Woman in Transit, Helen Foley, occupation school teacher. Up until now, the pattern of her life has been one of unrelenting sameness, waiting for something different to happen. Helen Foley doesn't know it yet, but her waiting has just ended. So now they show her at a diner. Here's Dick Miller. I think Dick Miller shows up in the last one too. Is he in 2 of these? I thought I remember him being on the plane where John Lithgow loses his crap. I forgot he's also the guy at the diner. Kathleen Quinlan pulls over to diner, and she's like trying to figure out where she is, and she sees this cute little boy playing video games, like an asteroid machine or whatever. And he's kind of smacking it because it's not working right. And something happens, and they like push down the little kid. It gets kind of ugly. And the teacher like defends him and takes the kid back to his home. And she gets caught up in this web of him being just a total psychopath. Like he's got magical powers. He's holding all these people hostage. This one's probably the closest. Well, the Gremlin one is kind of horror too. But this one, in my opinion, is the most horrific because there's some scary stuff in here. But there's some funny stuff too. Like the stuff where the little kid, because he wishes everything into existence, like dinner is something like a little kid would wish, like sloppy joes and potato chips and marshmallows on the sloppy joes and stuff. She did a few voices on The Simpsons. Yeah, Eat My Shorts. She did Rugrats also. I didn't know that. That would make sense. Lamonia's here? Oh, there she is. Hey, everyone. I saw Russell say hi to you in the chat, and I figured it out. There we go. Welcome, Lemonia. Demonia. Be sure to check out Lemonia's Lair on Friday here on the YouTubes. Lemonia's awesome. I'm glad she's here. Never seen a bad original Twilight Zone episodes. There's very few and far between, but a few of the originals, like there's some bangers in there, right? I found an old VHS tape recording I made of Twilight Zone Marathon on Sci-Fi. Did circa 2004. I know it's around that time because I had a bunch of Spider-Man 2 tie-ins. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember I would record them as well. Recording stuff on TV, and you would get the commercials. It was kind of charming, but at the same time, especially because you could fast forward, it was cool. But like they used to do an Alfred Hitchcock marathon on, I think, TMC every year on his birthday, and I would just put tapes in and record like 3 movies, and then. So here she's backing out of the parking lot, and she bangs into Kid with the he's riding his bike. So she feels terrible because she almost ran dude over. I was thinking there was some sort of thing where in the bar or in the from the video game machine. I must have misremembered that. But his bike's all ballin'. She should have known right there. Like some sad country kid, and he's got gold rims. I grew up with the Twilight Zone and the Time Tunnel. I don't think I know the Time Tunnel. I must fully admit, I've never seen the Twilight Zone. Oh, you've never seen them? No, there's a bunch of winners that you should check out. There's one called Talking Tina, where Telly Savalas battles a doll. It's like the basis for Chucky and all that stuff. I don't know. There's a handful of them. They all usually have some sort of twist or surprise ending, so you can't really spoil them if you've never seen them. But I definitely recommend checking out some of the bangers. Eye of the Beholder is my personal favorite, but To Serve Man is real close. But it's okay, Jim. I still love you, man. Gareth is here. Welcome. Nice to see you, Gareth. Let me guess, Gareth, you saw this in the theater or the cinema? I've never seen Time Tunnel. Yeah, that was a new one to me. I was wondering if that was a Canadian joint or something. Good morning, Gareth. Hello, Cal. I like this one. Oh, the one with the little kid. Yeah, this one's bizarre and creepy. There's one part where there's a giant, like, animatronic rabbit, or I don't know if it's a puppet or what, but it gave me nightmares as a kid. It's one of the few times a movie actually, like, the imagery stuck in my head enough to scare me and bother me. Let's see here. Tales from the Dark Side and Tales from the Crypt are probably my favorite anthology. I love both of those. Tales from the Crypt is a little better than Tales from the Dark Side, but Tales from the Dark Side has like the best beginning of an anthology series ever. Like, it's just so scary, and that music plays, and they push through the woods and drive down the country roads and go through like covered bridges and stuff. It's just stock footage, but it's so scary. So we've arrived back at the house, and the people trapped in the house are forced to watch cartoons all day long because they're being held hostage by a child. And there's Nancy Cartwright. And it's funny, like when he comes in, he introduces me like, oh, this is like my sister or my uncle or whatever. And then, we kind of get the idea that something's not right. And then as soon as they leave the other room, these two are like going through her purse and like smoking her cigarettes and stuff. Anybody seen Roger Corman's mob film? I don't think so. That's more around when I was watching. Yeah, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. The late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. Yeah, I think Tales from the Crypt is kind of my fave. The Crypt Keeper is just like such a funny host. And then the whole, they always had big high profile directors for all of them, just like the original Twilight Zone and stuff. Hey, Lay. Time Tunnel is a classic telly show. Dick Miller is everywhere, right? Let's see here. Let's see if he is in 2 roles in this. I could swear he is. He doesn't even get a credit on the IMDb. That's what I don't like about IMDb. They only list like the top 10 names, and it's always sketchy who they put in there. Dick Miller filmography. I wonder how many movies Dick Miller's been in. Any guesses? 300? 250, I'm going to go. Dick Miller started, he has 185 acting credits. Oh, I would have guessed way higher than that. Yeah, wow. His first role was in, I bet, 1960s? 1950s, I bet. Dick Miller. Wow, scroll and scroll and scroll and what? Keep scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. His first role was Apache Woman, 1955. Gunslinger, The Oklahoma Woman, It Conquered the World. It Conquered the World sounds good. Naked Paradise, Not of This Earth, The Undead, Rock All Night, Carnival Rock, Sorority Girl, Whirlybirds, My Squad, War of Satellites, Drag Night, Galestorm, Oh Susanna, A Bucket of Blood. A Bucket of Blood's a classic. I believe that's fallen into the public domain, so it's always like on every horror movie disc, or it shows like anybody's like cable access channel and stuff. So I've seen A Bucket of Blood a million times. Little Shop of Horrors, the original. Atlas, Capture That Capsule, Lawless Years, Premature Burial. That's a good horror name. Our Man Higgins, Bonanza, The Terror, X, The X-Men, Man with X-Ray Eyes, Gunsmoke, Wagon Train, Virginian, Girls on the Beach, Ski Party, Beach Ball, Wild Wild Winter, Branded, The Wild Angels, Combat. So he was in Combat too with Vic Morrow. Dragnet 67, The Dirty Dozen, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So that's probably the one that Russell was just talking about. Time for Killing, The Trip, The Mannix, Wild Racers, Legend of Lyle Care, The Anderson Trial, Grimson Gang, McLeod, Night Call Nurses, Fly Me, Student Teachers, Young Nurses, The Slams, Executive Action, Truck Turner, Big Bad Mama, Candy Stripe Nurses, Dick Miller getting around, putting the dick back in Dick Miller, Policewoman, Police Story, Capone, Death Race 2000. Oh, he was uncredited as Chicken Gang. Interesting. He was in Crazy Mama, Summer School Teachers, White Line Fever, Speeding, Hollywood Boulevard, Moving Violation, Cannonball, Vigilante Force, Mr. Billion, Hunter, New York, New York, Game Show Model, Star Hops, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Corvette Summer, Piranha. Holy shit, I'm not even to the 80s. Soap, Rock and Roll High School, Lady in Red, Alice, 11th Victim, 1941, Barnaby Jones, Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood, Used Cars, Dr. Heckle, Mr. Hype. That's a new one. The Howling, Smokey Bites the Dust, Heart Beeps, Open All Night, just went to a commercial in the movie, Open All Night, General Hospital, Movie Madness, White Dog, Police Squad, Vortex, Taxi, The Aftermath, Knots Landing, Renegades, Heart Like a Wheel. Heart Like a Wheel's good, the Shirley Muldowney drag racing story. Twilight Zone the movie, Space Raiders, Get Crazy, All the Right Moves, Lies, V. I forgot he was in V. A lot of V talk on this channel. Most people probably don't know him as Mr. Futterman from Gremlins. You know, he's the old dude in Gremlins who's a snow cat goes through the window or whatever. The Terminator, he's the pawn shop clerk. Rod Stewart Infatuation music video. The aforementioned Tales from the Dark Side. Explorers, After Hours, Chopping Mall, Night of the Creeps. See, here's why we love him. Armed Response, Amazing Stories, Project X, Inner Space, Amazon Women on the Moon, Moonlighting, Star Trek Next Generation. The movie came back, the commercial's done. I'm still going with Dick Miller. Under the Boardwalk, Angel 3, The Final Chapter, The Burbs. Our friend the Horror Catchhead just watched The Burbs with Joe Dante, who's directing this particular segment. Freddy's Nightmares, Far From Home, Ghost Rider, Who's the Boss, Gremlins 2, New Batch, Mob Boss, The Flash, Motorama, The Rock, Erie, Indiana. Erie, Indiana was a good show. I recommend it. The Woman Who Sinned, Evil Tunes, Amityville 1992, Body Waves, Quake, Unlawful Entry, Matinee, Fallen Angels, Batman Mask of the Phantasm as Chucky Soul, Prize Fighter, Run Around, Mona Must Die, Attack of the 5'2" Women, Shake, Rattle, and Rock, Rebel Highway, Batman the Animated Series, Lois and Clark, John Mellencamp, the Wild Night music video, Star Trek, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight as Uncle Willie, Weird Science TV show, Sister, The Osiris Chronicles, Small Soldiers, ER, Clueless, NYPD Blues, Snoops, Time of Your Life, Route 66, Karen Cisco, Looney Tunes Back in Action, Justice League Unlimited, Trap Dashes, Tales of the Screaming Forehead, Trail of the Screaming Forehead. What could I have been thinking? The Hole, Third Shift, Burying the Axe, Schmo Boat, Hanukkah, and Adventures of Biffle and Schuster. His last film was in 2019, and Dick Miller passed away in 2019. Cheers, guys. So here, the little boy is telling the family, "Why don't you make us some supper?" Like trying to impress this teacher to get her to stay. And the older woman, who's his mom, is like, "Honey, do you remember where supper is?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the kitchen." And they're all happy because they're just so, basically they're living in like a sitcom, over exaggerated, because that's how the little boy sees the world. Watching old Heckle and Jekyll cartoons. Have Heckle and Jekyll been canceled? I don't know. Seems like they might be. So here he's explaining that he can make things or whatever. And she's like, "What if I wanted to be a mouse?" What's old man's name? He's in the original too, I think. Jeremy Licht, right? No, that's the kid. Patricia Barry. Oh, William Shallert? No. It must be Jeremy Licht. Is that who I'm looking for? Oh, that's the kid. Oh, Kevin McCarthy. That's who it is. Let's see what Kevin McCarthy's filmography is. He's been in everything. I wonder how many he's got. More or less than Dick Miller? That's a tough question. Kevin McCarthy filmography, rascals. So they're eating the little kid's dinner because he imagined it. He can create anything with his mind. So dinner's 2 cookies, a taffy apple, one of those little ice creams they eat with the wooden spoon, like a little cup. And then it's a peanut butter and I can't tell, something gross. Oh, a burger, peanut butter on a hamburger. So Kevin McCarthy, he was born in 1914, passed away in 2010. He was in 207 things. Wow. What all do I know him from? He's been in everything. I wouldn't even know how to describe him to someone if they'd never heard of him. He started in, I bet, the 1950s. 1944. Wow. Ford Theater Hour, Pulitzer Prize Playhouse, Prudential Family Playhouse, NBC Repertory Theater. He's so old, he was in all those type of shows. Wow. Death of a Salesman, Gulf Playhouse, the Philco Television Playhouse, Studio One, Danger, Pond's Theater, Inner Sanctum, Star Tonight, Omnibus, Stranger on a Horseback. Let me see. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956. He's in the original. That's probably what a lot of people know him from. 20th Century Fox Hour, Cavalcade of America, the Ford Television Theater. He did a General Electric Theater, Kraft Theater. If you had Schlitz Playhouse, Sunday Showcase, if you had some sort of like ensemble movie, he was in, or like Playhouse type show, he was in it. Twilight Zone, he was one episode, even though they list 3 credits. That's weird. Ben Casey, Target, Going My Way, 40 Pounds, Target, The Corruptors, The Rifleman, The Defenders, Look Up Live, Breaking Point, 11th Hour, The Prize, Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Mr. Novak, Dr. Kildare, Honey West, You Under Arrest, Sugar? The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Lesson of Jesse James, 12 O'Clock High, Three Sisters, Hotel, Ghost Breakers, The Guns of Will Sonnet, Felony Squad, Judd for Defense, Ace High, The FBI, Banachek, Columbo, Cannon, Faye, Hawaii Five-0, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, remake in 1978. I thought he was in that as well. He was in The Howling. He was in My Tutor, Fantasy Island, Love Boat, Dynasty, Hotel, The Midnight Hour, The A-Team, Fame, Inner Space. Yeah, I do remember him in Inner Space. The older guy with white hair. In the Heat of the Night, Simon and Simon, The Burbs. He's Ray's boss, uncredited, so I think he was cut out of the movie. Fast Food, UHF, Sleeping Car, Ghoulies Go to College. Oh, hell no. Father Dowling Mysteries, Dead on Money, Final Approach, Charlie Hoover, Duplicates, Human Target, Batman the Animated Series as Dr. Long, Tales from the Crypt, Distinguished Gentleman, Rebel Highway, Road Racers. What a terrible movie. Mommy, The Pandora, The Second Civil War, Elvis Meets Nixon, The Weird Al Show, Addams Family Reunion, Eyes, Slipstream, I Do, Wesley, The Ghastly Love of Johnny X is his last film. So I'm sure I probably lost everybody listening to that big long ramble. So here's the part that traumatized me. He's making old buddy, the guy who just ran through his list, Kevin McCarthy. He wants him to, he's like, Uncle, do a magic trick. And he hands him a big black top hat. And he's going to reach in and pull a rabbit out of a hat. So he slowly puts his hand in. There's all this scary suspense while the family's all sitting around watching. He feels something come out. And it's a real bunny. And he's like, yay. And there's like a fake studio ta-da noise. And it's all like very surrealistic and like, I don't know, kind of Natural Born Killers-ish. Like it feels like a fake sitcom or something. So he goes to reach in again, and this ugly monster, I don't know if that's a puppet or an animatronic or what, like a zombie rabbit thing with these sharp teeth, and it's all bald. I don't know, terrifying. Straight nightmare fuel. Nope was based on the Twilight Zone episode Mirror Image. I didn't know that. Oh, that might be the one that. Oh no, that's not that one. I was gonna say that might be the one that the end of the first one was based on. To Serve Man is that's my that's it's right there, first one or two. I think Eye of the Beholder is maybe my favorite, but then To Serve Man is just dope. Us, I mean not no. Okay, got you. Nope, wasn't old enough. To see this one in the theater? I was. Haha. In your face, Gareth. So I finally saw a movie at the theater or the cinema that Gareth didn't. He's very picky about me calling it the theater. All the remakes of episodes I prefer the original episodes. Sorry to cut you off, Lamonia. It's a spoiler. Lay. Tales from the Crypt #1. Lay, that makes me think Video Tasties might be on this book. Tom Hanks' Tales from the Crypt episode was pretty dark. Yeah. The OG Brit film, Tales from the Crypt, is an anthology film. Yeah, there's another anthology. That's the one with the famous Christmas one that they do in Tales from the Crypt. Joan, can't think of her goddamn name. Not Crawford. What is her goddamn name? The one who's in The Bitch. She gets attacked by Santa Claus. Then they redo it on like season 1 or 2 of Tales from the Crypt, the HBO version. Oh, Spirits and Screams, Karen, welcome. Hey, kids, watching while I edit To Serve Man, one of my favorites. Hope you guys are having a great evening. Yeah, see, Karen popped in just enough to make sure that she knew the good Twilight Zones. Yeah, that's, I think, it, and Eye of the Beholder, and then Talking Tina. And then there's one where there's like an old wise man that lives in a cave that tells all these people after the post-apocalypse, like how to live and like whether or not the food's okay to eat and stuff. So many surprise ending ones. The guy with the camera that can like take a picture and he can see the future with the picture, but he only has like 5 pictures in his camera or whatever. So like he goes to the racetrack and wins a bunch of money, and then I think eventually he sees his own death or something. I don't know. Yeah, I love a good 4th of July and or New Year's Day Twilight Zone festival. Hello, Spirits and Spaghetti. Arnold's Crypt episode was a lesson for real. Yeah, that Arnold one was a good one. A bunch of those Tales from the Crypt episodes were good because they had such high production value. It was so well made. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, just watched it. Echo, how you doing, my friend? Dick gets around, shaking my head. Echo, are you doing the cha-cha-cha slide over there? Any good, Russ? I'm good. Karen, watching the movie and doing some shopping. How are you? Oh, the wallet's going to be mad when he wakes up. So here he's wished his sister, ironically, the voice of Bart Simpson, into a cartoon. And that's where this one evil cartoon like attacks her. Like he comes up with a big hatchet like this wolf does. And then she's chased by a dragon. This is what gave me nightmares when I was a kid. I remember waking up from the scary rabbit and like a whole subplot of being terrorized by cartoons. So strangely enough, Twilight Zone is one of my early, most scary movies to me, apparently. Just seen him in The Howling. Yeah, you can't go wrong with The Howling. Doing good. Think about my next 2 videos, which is going to take some research. Echo, killing it. He's got 2 channels now. His regular channel is mainly going to be horror, and then the second channel is Not Monsters. Yeah, Echo been cranking out content. That's good. I've been filling in for him on the Boneyard, so please come back and take your seat soon. No play, no dancing because you did a neon green mohawk. Sweet man, I hope you're finding some good stuff. I'm 3 days now. Ooh, congratulations, Karen. I hope you have a nice vacation. Saw Howling in the cinema. And I never saw it in the cinema. I saw it on TV. It was like a predecessor to cable. And I never will, Maya. So here the little boy is losing his shit and everybody like kind of backs up and it's these low angle crazy shots. It's all like cartoonist like and surrealistic. But this kid's like half terrifying. They're like shooting him low angle with the lights so he looks all powerful. This feels very creep show. But like I said, it was directed by Joe Dante. Oh no, they're going to hit me with a commercial in 6, 5, 4. Just as the suspense is building, you bastards. They went to commercial on Whirring. Let me see here. I'm good. Echo. May, what you buying? Yeah, we do all want to know what May is buying. She's looking for a shelf. Oh, you need more stuff. You got too much stuff. You got all that. You got the horror corner is overflowing. The horror corner is dope. If you haven't seen the last episode of Into House, be sure to check it out and see May's horror corner. What kind of shelf? You should get one of those coffin shelves. Look at the chat being helpful. Man, if you build it, he will come. That's good advice. I'm looking to see if I like any. When Telly was invented, the first thing shown was Felix the Cat. Oh, I wasn't aware of that. The old magic bag of tricks and all that. How old is Invasion film? I saw the first one, but I barely remember it. The old original black and white. But then I've seen obviously the '78 version a ton. The Donald Sutherland. That one. A few hours late. LOL. No, Mr. Bones, welcome. We were talking about you earlier. Who was it? Dick Miller, I think. One of his first movies was called like Hello, Mr. Bones or something. What you plan on using the shelf for, man? All your jars of mustard? Ooh, that's a sticky dig. No diddy, right? Russ and Echo, no diddy lay. Giant rabbit is hilarious. That thing is terrifying. I'm scared now. I'm probably going to have nightmares later. Echo says, Bones, what's up? And he walked right into it. D's nuts. Be careful. Don't walk into D's nuts. Coin, yeah. The Last Man on Earth episode where he breaks his glass. Yeah, isn't that like a Time Enough in the World or something? That's a Burgess Meredith one. They talk about that in the beginning, the wraparound scenes where Albert Brooks is with Dan Aykroyd up front, and then later on Dan Aykroyd comes back at the end. And they're discussing their favorite episodes, and they talk about the one where the old man just wants to read, and then everybody on the world goes away, and it's just him, and he's got all the books in the world, and then he breaks his glasses. Another horrific scene, this Tasmanian devil monster thing. I think some of this I feel like helped Joe Dante get ready for Gremlins. Some of the practical effects stuff, and then like working with Dick Miller and all that stuff. That little kid kind of horrifying though. Yeah, these are clearly animatronics. They might be puppets, but this one's blowing steam in everybody's face, and it's all just nightmare fuel. Scurry. Oh shit! Yeah, that looks like Rat Fink, but that's going to give me a nightmare for sure. That's disturbing to me. We don't need CGI. You can just keep reusing the Twilight Zone puppets over and over again in horror movies. I'll be scared. Let's see what else Kathleen Quinlan has been in, shall we? She's good. I know her from sight. Like as soon as I see her, I recognize her. But off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank on anything specific I know her in. Kathleen Quinlan. Oh, she's the wife in Breakdown. She's in Event Horizon. I already see a bunch of ones she's good in. So here's where she convinces the little boy to wish it all away because she realizes he's like all powerful and strong. You know, he's kind of this like super entity or whatever. And he wishes both of them into like this almost heavenly place where they exist, and everything's shot in like double frame on top of each other. So there's like ghostly trails and stuff. This is all really good by Joe Dante. Kathleen Quinlan has been in 106 roles. Wow, she's been working too. We'll go quick. Her first film was probably in late 70s, I bet. 73, American Graffiti. Okay, there you go. Can Ellen Be Saved? Policewoman Kojak, Lucas Turner, Ironside, The Missing Are Deadly, Abduction of St. Anne, Turning Point of Jim Malone, Switch, Joe Forrester, The Waltons, Lifeguard, Airport. Let's get to some movies. Sunday Lovers, Hanky Panky, Independence Day. That's 1983. Twilight Zone, the movie. Blackout. Oh, Blackout's crazy. That's like, I think, a made for HBO movie. It's about this like woman whose husband gets a head trauma, and when she comes back to him, he's like a serial killer or some shit. And it's got the like weird zipper gip mask. It's like a kind of an underrated serial killer mystery movie. Blackout, 85. Children of the Night, Wild Thing. I remember Wild Thing. It was like the Tarzan kind of movie with like a crazed kid in the urban jungle. The Man Outside, Sunset, Clara's Heart, Alfred Hitchcock Presents remake, Operation, The Doors, An American Story, Stolen Babies, Last Night, Trial, Apollo 13, In the Lake, Zeus and Roxanne, Breakdown, Event Horizon, Long Dogs, My Giant, Civil Action, Diagnosed Murder, Family Law, Battle of Shaker Heights. That's a Project Greenlight movie. The Riverman, Dead Will Tell, The Breach, Made with Honor, Harm's Way, Prison Break, Empire States, Electrolux, The Event, Stargate Universe, Glee, Chicago Fire, After. That was kind of a crazy movie. Like, that's basically this whole scene right here. The movie After is like the whole movie. Like, they're trapped in this sort of weird, bizarro world, almost like Silent Hill. And that's how After is. Like, something happens and these folks end up in this bizarro Silent Hill world. Addicted, Parallel, Saving My Baby, The Devil Is His Name, Runaways. Oh, she was in The Runaways. Oh, that's a TV show, the Marvel one. The Stairs, Walking with Her, Fixer Upper, Mayans, Horizon, American Saga. So Kathleen Quinlan be working. So here they're in that weird nether zone or whatever, where it's like, I don't know, some sort of alternate universe. And her car is sitting there, and they both just get in the car, and she's like, I don't have the keys. And he's like, yes, you do, because he can make anything with his imagination. So they drive away, and like, this one feels open-ended because you're supposed to think like he's going to be happily ever after. He's going to behave with her. But you already saw how he treated his old family. Like, he's going to eventually do crazy, whatever, hold her hostage, have giant claymation rabbits attack her. Kathleen Quinlan pretty? I really paid much attention to her till now. So now as they're driving, you see flowers blooming. So as if like maybe he is finally happy and he's trying to be happy. But like I say, I have a suspicion he's eventually going to go crazy. And that's the end of this one as they drive off into these beautiful flowers all growing as they drive away. That's an amazing shot for 1983. I'm guessing it's probably a matte painting and a dissolve, maybe. And now this one, the final installment. We cut to an airplane flying in the sky with a thunder rumbling. It isn't the beginning. Introducing Mr. John Valentine, air traveler. His destination, the Twilight Zone. We open up on this one with John Lithgow in the bathroom of an airplane freaking the hell out because he's afraid to fly. Plus, there's all this turbulence and rain and stuff. The original one of this was William Shatner on the old black and white show. This is one of those occasions where when they remake something, sometimes it can be better. Like, I think the Shatner performance is iconic, but the Gremlin and just the modern airplane and the way it's shot and everything, I think this is probably a better version than the Shatner version. That Gremlin in the Shatner version looks crazy with his nose all turned up and so on. Weird. Pick these nuts. I should have known. Folks are saying hello to Karen and Bone. No more monsters. I just subbed. There we go. My favorite OG episode was Stop at Willoughby. I love the twist on that one. I don't know if I know a Stop at Willoughby. That's I don't know the name. I bet I'm sure I would recognize it if I saw the plotting of it. Lay, love that one. Is that the one with the computer? No more monsters in the NWO. I can tell Don's never seen SpongeBob, or at least a few hours later. Oh, well, yeah, obviously I have a few hours later, but out of context, I wasn't thinking. Sorry, I'm in Twilight Zone world. Submit for your approval. A giant fool watching an old TV show made into a movie. He's too mature for that. Man, when I saw the SpongeBob movie and Patrick went swinging by on a rope and he passed and then he had a flag in his ass cheeks, I was like, man, SpongeBob's my kind of people. This is hilarious stuff. Liv Style Rewind. Welcome, Liv. Nice to see you. So see, I'm not too mature. I usually put a few hours later when he starts reading off people's whole filmography. Okay, guy. I never noticed that was a running gag, but it is, especially the Roger Corman one. That was 450 movies. We haven't had any tonight over 150. A few hours later. There he goes again. See? Hey, Liv. Checks watch. Mm-hmm. Long dong. Long duck dong. Oh, sexy girlfriend. She off America marrying a American variety oily bohunk. Long duck dong. Let's see here. Battle of Shaker Heights. I watched that one multiple times growing up because I used to be obsessed with Shia LaBeouf. Used to. Yeah, I was obsessed with Project Greenlight. So I watched that whole thing with those two guys, the two co-directors, and Erica, the writer and stuff. And my family used to live outside of Cleveland, which is near Shaker Heights. Let's see here. Oh, my Lanta. Holy macaroni. I'm just going to keep doing this so you guys have to come up with new expressions of disbelief. 16 Candles is a classic. Spirits and Screams, thanks. I appreciate it. Lawless with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. I do need to see that one. It's on my HBO queue. The Shat. I can't believe they forgot my birthday. I can't believe who's they? Did he Shat? I used to be so scared to fly when I was a kid because of that John Lithgow scene. Yeah, I think it probably influenced my original fear of flying. I'm bizarre with that. Like if I go up on like more than a third or fourth floor, I start getting uncomfortable, like looking out windows. But then once I get above like the seventh floor, or like if I'm in an airplane, it doesn't bother me. Like, yeah, if I have to climb up on a high ladder, I'll get uncomfortable. But in an airplane, it looks like it's on TV looking out the window or something. My brain doesn't grasp it. One time we had bad turbulence when I went to Hawaii and we came back over the ocean and there was bad turbulence and I kind of was scared then. I don't know why crashing in the middle of the ocean was more scary to me than crashing in the middle of hard ground where we would explode, but for some reason it did. Happy late birthday, Bolay. Lemonia is awesome, but she's talking about 16 Candles. I can't believe they forgot my birthday. Love that story. Lay okay. Hey, Jason is here. Welcome, Ginger Ninja JK. How's it going? Well, it's going well. I like this little girl with the Polaroid camera who keeps like snapping pictures in his face because it always adds to the tension. Like as he's freaking out, there'll be like a camera pop in his face or whatever. G'day, Ninja. Hello, Ninja. G'day, Bruce. Always with the Bruce. Lemonia, hello. Things are going well, thanks. Jason, you a fan of Twilight Zone, the movie? We keep running into each other. Yeah, Russell runs in fun circles. My grandma felt me up. Luckily, we all know that that's a 16 Candles quote. Otherwise, that was weird. I had to sit away from the family. We could do seats next to each other in a window seat and was so scared to put the window cover up. But the old dude sitting me insisted on it. I was so scared. Yeah, it's a trip. I think that's why it doesn't bother me as much because it's so surreal just to see the clouds and stuff. My brain detaches. But like if I have to go up on like a construction site where you're up on like a tall building floor, but there are no walls, like I'll start feeling nauseous and sweaty palms and stuff. I don't know. So the Lithgow's freaking out and he lights up a cigarette in the plane. And the air marshal is sitting in front of him. And the little girl's like yelling at him about smoking. So he can't even have a cigarette and chill out. This must be right when smoking stopped being on airplanes, I guess. Let's see here. Hey, Livestyle Rewind. Ginger, I know. Hello, Ginger. Hello. I enjoy the Twilight Zone movie. It's a classic. Yeah. I was wondering, you usually follow the same like stuff I like. This one's very divisive. The critics are pretty much 50-50 on it across all the websites. But it seems like the first two segments take the beating, and the last two segments a lot of people enjoy and like. Lithgow is freaking awesome in this. Yeah, he is. Actually, we are at the 1:20:27 mark. 1 hour, 20 minutes, 27 seconds. So, oh wow! Now they have it where if you press pause, a commercial for Fox football on Fox comes on. Huh? Tubi figuring out new ways to stick commercials in there. Look at them. Increase that revenue. All right, everyone. Got to get to bed and have a busy day of working on my next retro TV video and working on 70s week announcement. When will it be? When it will be. Well, that's awesome, Echo. I appreciate you hanging out, buddy. I know you always got good stuff to contribute. Echo was here last night when we watched The Iron Claw, a movie about the Von Erich wrestling family. And Echo, real smart mind when it comes to wrestling. So he had all sorts of good stuff to contribute to that discussion. So if you're a fan of the professional wrestling, be sure to check out last night's stream for the Iron Claw. Are your arms sweaty, mom spaghetti? Sometimes. Vomit on my sleeve already. Mom spaghetti. Oh, wait. Lithgow was great in everything. Loved Third Rock from the Sun growing up. The first Lithgow I ever saw was Blowout. And then later on, I saw him in The World According to Garp. And those are two drastically different roles. It's like a guy who murders prostitutes, guy who's had a sex change operation. He used to be an NFL player, and now he's like a women's rights advocate. Like, from a young age, I was like, John Lithgow can do anything. Yeah, see Echo. Good night, Echo. Night, Echo. Sweet dreams. What's your favorite Lithgow, chat? Raising Cane's pretty good. Ricochet. He's really good in Ricochet. Let's go to Lithgow. As I understand it, it's supposed to be pronounced, I always say Lithgow because that's how I said it my whole life, but apparently it's like rainbow, Lithgow. That's what he says. John Lithgow, actor. See, I did it there. I even know it's how to say it, and I say it wrong. Oh, I forgot he was Farquaad in the Shrek. John Lithgow has 133 acting credits. 2 hours later. His first role, was it Blowout? No, his first role was Dealing, or the Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Lost Bag Blues. Now that's a drug dealer movie name. Wow. The Country Girl, Obsession, great performances, The Big Fitch, Rich Kids, all that jazz, The Oldest Living Graduate, Mom and the Wolfman and Me. Want to see it? Big Blonde, Blowout. So Blowout was, looks like his first movie. No, he was in All That Jazz. I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, The World According to Garp, Not in Front of the Children. He was in the radio drama for Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, Twilight Zone the movie, The Day After. Oh, yeah, The Day After was brutal. It's about people who survive a nuclear war. Terms of Endearment, Fairy Tale Theater, Footloose. Oh, that's right. He's the main dude in Footloose, the evil preacher who turns out to be kind of nice. Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, Dr. Emilio Lizardo. 2010 as Walter Kernrow. Mesmerized, Santa Claus the Movie, Amazing Stories, The Manhattan Project, Distant Thunder, Out Cold, Memphis Belle, The Boys, Ricochet. Ricochet's good. Raising Cain, The Wrong Man, Cliffhanger, Pelican Brief, Good Man in Africa, Princess Caribou, Silent Fall, Frasier, Tuskegee Airmen, Hollow Point, Star Wars Return of the Jedi, original radio drama, Johnny Skidmarks, Homegrown, Cosby, Don Quixote, Shrek, Orange County, Kinsey, Dreamgirls, Confessions of a Shopaholic, Macabre World of Lavender Williams, Dexter, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was good in that, where he played the father who was struggling with Alzheimer's. The Campaign, Shrek Sterling Tales, This Is 40, Love is Strange, Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, Drunk History, Interstellar, Louie, The Accountant, Beatrice at Dinner, Trial and Error, Daddy's Home 2, Pitch Perfect 3, Late Night, Tomorrow Man, Pet Sematary Remake as Judd. The Crown, Bombshell, Perry Mason, The Guilty, Dexter, New Blood, Simpsons, Old Man, Sharper, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Cabrini. Oh, man. John Lithgow, you exhausted me too. So here, this one is kind of simple. It's all just an acting performance. You know, Lithgow is just increasingly freaking the F out. There's Donna Dixon, I think her name is. It's Dan Aykroyd's wife. She's playing one of the stewardesses, or flight attendants, sorry. Shout out to the flight crew. So Lithgow's pretty much just like doing this one-man tour de force of losing his crap. And one of the stewardesses comes over and covers him up with a blanket. And he's like, I'm fine. See, I'm going to be okay. And then she's like, all right, he apparently chilled out. So they leave him be. And he's just like sweating bullets. And he looks super pale and his eyes are all red. He looks like he's a junkie. So everybody else on the plane thinks he's this drug addict having an episode. Let's see here. Okay, so here we are. Harry and the Hendersons. I forgot Harry and the Hendersons. That's a good one, Ben. For real, he's a comedian. Harry and the Hendersons. Lithgow and Ricochet was awesome. Harry and the Hendersons. Cheers. Cliffhanger. Russell's got to take off. I know he's going to maybe be back. All right, well, I hope you are. Enjoy whatever you're dipping off to do, buddy. Harry and the Hendersons and Cliffhanger appear to be the biggies that everybody's going with. Yeah, Cliffhanger. So folks are saying goodbye to Russell and either saying Cliffhanger or Harry and the Hendersons. I'm still standing up strong for Ricochet. Third Rock from the Sun is funny. Third Rock, Mile High Club. Oh yeah. Lamone, you've got me all flustered. Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing. Lithgow's just totally losing it, and he's closed the window, and he's just sweating. You can tell they're spritzing him in between each shot, and he hears like a noise kind of out the window, and he sort of pops up like how people do in movies, and he opens up the thing, and the damn thing's right outside the window. Night Russell. Love the twist in the plane story. So here he opens up the window and the thing's just right up in there. Yeah, this Grumman is so much scarier. He looks like Eddie from Iron Maiden. The old one looks like kind of a man in a gorilla suit with like they melted the rubber on his face or something. And then one of the people in the plane is a sky marshal. So Lithgow steals the gun from his ankle holster and he shoots out the window. Now the plane's just been struck by lightning. So there he sees the gun in the Sky Marshal's ankle holster, and the Sky Marshal's he looks like the Penguin or something. He doesn't look like a Sky Marshal. He's like a scary creep. He's sweating more than Lithgow is. Yeah, Lithgow does it great, just losing his mind in this. The makeup and everything. I think it's really because it's how well it's lit, but his eyes are so red and his lips look all pink, he looks like he's been sick. So yeah, oh dear Lord, the mother of a little girl that's driving everybody nuts is just zonked out on sleeping pills or whatever, and she's like, "What's she done this time?" You can tell she's just like a traumatized mother with a bad kid. So one of the co-pilots has come up now and is sitting there explaining to Lithgow it's going to be okay. Well, first he's saying, what seems to be the problem? And dude explains to him there's some sort of something on the wing. And he's like, that's impossible. And he shows him and there's nothing there. So it's the classic horror movie thing where it's I see it. And then you look and it's not there. And then somebody else looks and it is there, This one was directed by George Miller, the guy that did the Mad Max movies, as well as Happy Feet, the cartoon about dancing penguins. Let's do a George Miller dive, shall we? That's an eclectic pair of films to direct, right? Happy Feet and so that's to a producer. As a director, he has directed 18 films. I would have thought more. The Devil in Evening Dress, Mad Max in 79, Mad Max 2 in 81, Twilight Zone in 83, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome in 85. He directed the Tina Turner We Don't Need Another Hero video. He did The Witches of Eastwick. I didn't know George Miller did that. That was 87. He did Lorenzo's Oil, which was a critically acclaimed deal. He did Babe, Pig in the City. I didn't know that. That's the sequel to Babe, right? He did Happy Feet. He did Happy Feet 2, and then Mad Max Fury Road, and he's got Furiosa coming out this weekend. So good timing for George Miller to pop up on this discussion, right? So here the assistant or the co-pilots explain to him, there's 4 engines. The possibility of us losing one is very extreme. The possibility of losing all 4 is impossible. And Lithgow's kind of all right, I guess I'm cool then. You know what I mean? But everybody on plane knows he's just a total nutcase. Everybody's thinking he's having either a psychotic episode or some sort of drug something or other. These shots of the plane and the rain and the lightning storm, that's got to be models. But it's a pretty good looking one. Lots of push-in zooms. This is all, you can see Mad Max. Now that I say it, you can see George Miller's directing style, the push-ins, the pan acrosses to people's faces. As the tension ratchets up, there's just so much camera movement. The original one in this, like I said, the black and white was William Shatner. And Shatner does it very Shatnery. He's very like, that's someone on the plane. Like, but Lithgow, he's like just totally losing his damn mind. And they keep hitting turbulence, and the little girl's laughing. And here's the Mile High Club for Lamonia. She predicted it. And then the little girl earlier has a ventriloquist dummy. It looks like, I think, W.C. Fields. And now the Sky Marshal guy is so scared from the turbulence, he's hugging it like a teddy bear. Buckaroo Banzai is a masterpiece. Yeah, I was really trying to pause so people could let Buckaroo Banzai soak into them. Dr. Emilio Lizardo, Dr. John Big Booty. I'm sure we'll have to watch that sometime. Jeff Goldblum, can't go wrong with that. So now he realizes that camera that she's been driving him nuts with all the time, he can capture a picture of the gremlin on the wing. And he actually does get a picture. We don't get to see it, I don't think, until after the plane crashes and lands. Oh yeah, it's a Polaroid, so you're waiting for it to develop. That was pretty cool. That was very Mad Max-ish. Oh crap, the camera didn't work. It's just a reflection in the window. He looks out there and he sees the guy or the gremlin pull its hand back, and it looks just like Eddie from Iron Maiden. It's like this crazy, scary gremlin, not like a charming gremlin. And Lithgow looks, total full-on Buckaroo Banzai there. The Simpsons did this best fishing. The Simpsons did it. Gremlin giving him the finger, exactly. Yeah, he does the finger wave, like he comes up to him and tells him, like, no, no, no. The old Dikembe Mutombo. So when the Lithgow shoots out the window, the air suction or whatever, the cabin depressurizes, so all this wind starts blowing in, and they have to make an emergency landing and all that. But this is good. The rainstorm and him hanging out the window. Like, for 1983, this is impressive as hell. Lithgow hanging out a moving plane, firing a gun like Tom Cruise or something. Yeah. So now here the gremlin runs up, grabs the gun in his wrist, and then kind of stops and looks at him all terrifying. Does he bite the gun or break it? But I know he takes the gun and snaps it or whatever. And we kind of the descent through the clouds. It looks like the old HBO beginning. And the gremlin puts the iron claw on him. Speaking of iron claw, my review of watch along of that is available now on the past catalog of these shows on my live tab of my homepage. Sorry, I was distracted. He straight hit him with the Dikembe Mutombo. It was beautiful. And he just jumped off the wing and flew away. Some kind of witch or something. Bye-bye, wicked gremlin of the West. Oh, you got to be kidding me. So Lithgow, he's hanging out the window. He's got frost all over his face because they're so high up or whatever. And they go to commercial. You got to be kidding me. I shat you not. You did shat me. Gave him the finger wave. No, no, no. The Descent is a good movie. I do like The Descent. The Descent is deep. I need to rewatch it again. I think I've seen it 3 times, but every time I watch it, I kind of enjoy it. It's scary as hell, those cave monsters and stuff. All right, so we're right down to the end. The little circles at the A for ad. So it's almost finished. This must be a 30-seconder. You shat me so. All right, come on. You can't be leaving me in suspense, Tubi. How dare you? So we come in at the 1:33:12 mark. There's 8 minutes left. And we see Lithgow. This, I guess, was a good place. After the plane was landing is where they cut when they come back from commercial. He's laying on the gurney like insane in a straitjacket. They're putting him into an ambulance, and he's rambling about gremlins on the plane. And we see the co-pilot explaining just, it's kind of a secondhand story. Everybody retelling like, oh, don't you remember the gun? And he gave you a gun. Oh, it wasn't my gun. And the Donna Dixon, she's got like her head all bandaged up because we saw her banging around the inside of the fuselage. But the surprise twist is one of the engines actually is damaged. So there is a gremlin up there with him. He wasn't insane. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, The Descent is good. Have the DVD. Deep in D's. Same. No Diddy Lay. No Diddy. Diddy what? So yeah, here's where they go up and they check the airplane. And you can see it's just been ripped apart and like torn at, and it's all burnt up. That was good staging. Like everybody kind of like, I don't know, filled in the frame from the sides. George Miller, he's talented. He made them penguins dance. If you haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road, it's really good. I enjoy original Mad Max, but The Road Warrior, probably my favorite. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome's fun, but so anyways, Lithgow, he's been loaded onto the back of this back of this ambulance, and we see him laying there like kind of fruitcake. He's just losing it, totally lost his mind, and they start playing the Midnight Special, but that's what they were listening to at the beginning, and we see the ambulance driver is Dan Aykroyd, who was from the beginning, the guy that turned into the monster and attacked Albert Brooks. So now he hits him with the same line. Want to see something really scary? And they do a slow push on Lithgow's face like, ooh, shoot. There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is not known to man. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. It lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. Directed one, John Landis, Steven Spielberg, Joe Dante, George Miller. Let's see if we can see the Alan Smithy. I believe it was the assistant director, but I don't know for which segment. Screenplay by Richard Matheson for like all of them. Part one written by John Landis. Story by Richard Matheson. Produced by Steven Spielberg and John Landis. Executive producer Frank Marshall. Inspired by Twilight Zone, created by Rod Serling. Segments 2 and 4, Alan Davio. Segment 3, John Hora. Production D. Bissell. They're going so slow. Would you hurry up? Malcolm Campbell. Oh, what the hell? Yeah. We get to play the famous of You May Also Like. Tales from the Crypt, the old anthology film, as we were talking about earlier. Ghostbusters. I don't know if I would. Yeah. That's kind of a stretch. Beyond Belief, the old William Riker show. Who's the tallest man you ever met? Special makeup designed by Rob Bottin. So those monsters and all this that I'm tripping out about how great they are. There you go. The guy that did The Thing did them. Suburban Commando. How in the hell is Twilight Zone connected to Suburban Commando? Future World, the sequel to Westworld? I don't know why that's there either. Burnt Offerings. Groundhog Day. Oh God, with George Burns. Invaders from Mars, the Toby Hooper. I could see Invaders from Mars, kind of. And Labyrinth. Why Labyrinth? I don't get it. Well, that is Twilight Zone, the movie. Like I said, I stand by my a 7 out of 10. I think it's good. What do you guys think of Twilight Zone, the movie? You a fan? You're not a fan? Let me know in the chat or the comments. Love Tom Hardy films. Favors Bronson. That too. Did you mean Kimmy Diddler? Oh, Diddy. No Diddy. Yeah. Ho, yeah. Just found out that Emo War is getting a Blu-ray release in September. I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever seen Emo War. Fan? Oh, so the movie? Good. That's what I was hoping for. Well, anyways, We've made it through tonight. We watched Twilight Zone the movie. We discussed Twilight Zone, the classic show. It's arguably my favorite series of all time. I can't think of anything I'd be willing to say as a better series than Twilight Zone. So I know some people will be like, well, Black Mirror or whatever. But yeah, for my age group and what I grew up with, Twilight Zone, Hitchcock, neck and neck. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, pretty damn good. Outer Limits, okay. One Step Beyond, okay. Tales of the Unbelievable, I think it's called. It's okay. 10:30 p.m. tomorrow for a bloody good time. Yes, tomorrow night I will be on Mr. Bones' channel. We're going to be watching Terrifier 2 with Queen Mayanne. I believe that's also available on Tubi. So if you'd like to join us, I'm sure we'll have some sort of links posted. Or if not, make sure just follow Bones. His normal co-host is Echo Cero, so me and Mayanne are pushing him out. We have a guy up in Northern Ontario who raises emus for consumption. I was unaware. I was always more the Outer Limits than the Twilight Zone. Outer Limits is more sci-fi. Twilight Zone's more like bizarre, supernatural kind of. But they're all good. I like Twilight Zone and Hitchcock best, and then Night Gallery and all those others kind of secondary. Tales from the Crypt's pretty damn good. But The Hitchhiker was also a fun one. I like that. Land May Connection. It's on Peacock as well. Okay, so there you go. Check it out on the cock. Word. But I thank you for joining me for Twilight Zone and all this Twilight Zone talk. It's now 3:11 here in the morning on Central Time, which means 4:11 a.m. in Eastern Time. You guys are some damn night owls. Get some sleep. And I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me and watching this one, which I dig. Give me a chance to talk about my favorite Twilight Zones. So shout out to all you folks in the chat. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate you guys a bunch. I will see you tomorrow down on Mr. Bones' channel, and I'll see you Sunday on our friend Pugwall's channel for Reefer Madness. I'm going to be all over the place, including several live streams here on this channel. So be sure to subscribe, share, like. Did you like this video? Of course you like this video. You're good people. Anyways, I wish you green grass and high tides forever.